What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. We're not gonna waste any time today. Let's just get straight into it. Between now and the last video, we got a bunch of stuff done. I kind of mentioned it in the little update on the E30 video, but we got all this cut up. It's nice and smooth. I even cut out the front lip a little bit, so as you can see, once it sits properly in its place, the wide body kit will sit right here, and I can just push this back. It'll look stock again. And then we picked up some BC Racing coilovers. So I already unboxed it. I got a little antsy and I was excited, so I unboxed the whole thing. And as you can see, these are the fronts right here, and then we have the rears right in the back, and then the spring that goes along with it. So I know in one of the last videos, I mentioned that we were gonna go bags and hold off on the suspension portion. But what happened was, a little while ago, I ordered a roof rack for the car. And basically, if you've ever seen Hellcat Enforcer on YouTube or Instagram, you kind of see that his roof rack would start all the way up here and go all the way to the back of his trunk, basically. And I really loved the look, so I decided I was gonna go that route. And about 4 or 5 months ago, I ordered, I think it was the Alpine Force roof rack cargo box, whatever you call it. And it never showed up. I got an email the other day saying, hey, we're gonna refund your money. It's not coming. If you wanna order another one, you can. And I started looking online to find another one because I really love the look of that cargo box on the car, and it really sets the car apart from other cars. But they didn't have them anywhere online, so instead I went and bought some BC Racing coilovers. And these things look amazing right off the bat. They feel nice and sturdy. I got the 30 levels of dampening adjustments, and I even got the extra extenders, the dampening extenders that go on the rears. So that way we can not only have easy adjustment from right here in the engine bay, so it's gonna sit right here, but we can also just open up the trunk, go in there and just turn the knob. If you don't have the extenders, you have to pull up your liner, go behind it, turn the knob. But this way I can just, since I already have the cut set up in the trunk because of my BMR strut tower bars, I can just feed the extender through that hole and I'll just be able to adjust it whenever I need. In terms of the coilovers, I already got a head start, and I won't really show you guys the details on this side, but I will go ahead and show you exactly how to do it on the other side once I figure out how to do it on this side. I don't know yet either. There's not many videos on it. I'm just gonna try my best to get this part apart and then move to that side, and once I figure out how to do it, I can show you guys as well. As of right now, I just loosened up this right here, and then there's a bolt that went right through this hole right here, and I got that sitting down right there. So now I just need a second hand to kick this down while I yank the old shock out. Shouldn't be too hard, but luckily my friend Sahil, I literally texted him like 10 minutes ago saying, hey, can you help me one of these days with my coilovers? And he said, hey, I'm actually in your area, let me pull up right now. And I said, screw it, let's go, let's do it. I'm gonna go ahead, start finishing up this side, and then we can jump over to that side, and then the rears. Okay, so it's been a while. I got really tied up on that side. I went ahead, loosened up all the top bolts, which are right here. And then once you get into the actual wheel well, there's 3 bolts you're gonna need to loosen up. This one right here, and I recommend do not loosen it all the way. Leave it a little bit so that once this arm right here falls, it hits the bolt and you kind of just have that saving it. And then you also wanna loosen up the bolt that goes right in there, as well as this tie rod bolt. So this sits right inside that hole like that. Loosen that up already, and you have this piece that sits right down in here. So just take those out, and now once I loosen up this all the way, this whole assembly should come down a little bit, and it should give you enough space to pull this entire strut out. So ignore this dirty rag. So this is the old shock compared to the new one, and as you can see, if I lined it up perfectly at the top together, this is how short it is, or this is how much shorter the BC Racing coilover is compared to the stock. And I think this is where I'm gonna run it. If anything, I might try to get this close to 1 inch, because this is about what, 2 inches, right? So I'm thinking try to make this an inch, so that way it'll be 1 inch lower than the stock suspension.
No, just keep 2 inches.
Yeah, but I don't want to rub.
Just keep the ground.
No. that lip right there is gonna be destroyed in like 2 minutes. Yeah, I hate putting on the second one, I'm good. Okay, so we measured out the height of the stock strut and we got to 27 and a half, a little bit past 27 and a half. And as of right now, like I said, I don't want to go too low on this. So what we went ahead and did was we took the BC Racing coilover and we adjusted it to 26 and a half. So just an inch smaller than the stock strut. So we know that without everything else, sit an inch lower and it won't make too much of a difference. I can always bring it up, go lower later if I need to. And yeah, anything else? He honestly figured out the strut tower part. We're still rookies at this, never done coilovers before, surprisingly. So I'm learning, he's learning.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's just getting the pieces off.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Like this bolt right here, that thing took a beating and it's still not coming loose for some reason. Like this right here is not coming down. Like that's supposed to fall like the other side did, but it's not. And I'm gonna put the camera down, beat the crap out of it until it falls. But let's go ahead and put the right side in. See if you can get around. I can push it down just a little bit for you. There we go. You want me to go to the top and tighten up? Got it. Yep. That's enough to hold that. You can literally see it on the back end. And this. Way through, and now that's basically everything. We just tighten everything up now. So we're just gonna go ahead and tighten it up, finish up on that side, and I think we might do the rears tomorrow because I don't have the energy for it.
We've been at this for
a few hours now.
I'll take like 2 hours at least.
2 hours.
Like working on it.
But it's only because that one nut wasn't coming loose.
Yeah,
and we got stuck on that for a little while. But
because this side popped off. Put a little bit of WD-40. Hit it with a hammer, came straight off. What
felt like all of 10 seconds for you guys was another 20 minutes on our end. On the top end, I just hand tightened these. I didn't tighten them all the way because we still need to put the strut tower bar back in. So in the meantime, we're gonna step over to the other side, deal with this bolt right here that's not coming through, try to get this loosened up, and then finish or do exactly what we did on the other side on this side. So it's been a few hours since the last issue because I couldn't get that seized ball joint on the upper control arm off. It was gonna be the death of me, right? And then I learned that, you know, they always say you should buy good hammers. Look at this thing. See how it's crooked? This is an IKEA hammer, and I thought this would do the job, but no. I'm sitting here. I smacked it for so long and nothing happened. And that's because this is a very cheap hammer. As you can tell, it started bending, and I think this was just bending and it wasn't putting all that impact on the seized ball joint. So then I went ahead to Walmart and I was like, you know what? These are more cheap hammers, but I'll just get a few of them. And I picked up this little 5-pound hammer, and one good smack with this and that thing came loose. So just a PSA to you all, get some good hammers. Don't buy no cheap IKEA hammer. And the only reason I even had it was because I was leaving IKEA, I saw it there, I was like, you know what, let me just pick it up. It comes with the other small tools like a drill bit and stuff like that. So I picked it up and now that thing's gonna go to the trash. We got everything in, we got the coilover in, everything is sitting nice. I tightened everything down. So we got that bolt right there tightened down. We got the actual tie rod bolt or the sway bar bolt tightened down. And now the only thing we need to do is go ahead and put the BMR suspension strut tower bar back on, and then just tighten this down as well. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick, and then we're gonna start in the rears. update on the car. I got the rear strut in, and this was a lot more tedious than I expected. As of right now, nothing is tightened up. As you can see, we still have this pretty loose up here. That needs to sit in the hole just like that, but that's not too bad. And then in terms of how to go about getting the rears in, I'll go ahead and tighten this one up, and then once I start the other side, like I mentioned in the front, I wanted to get a good understanding of how to do it before I actually went ahead and started recording. I'll quickly go over what needs to be loosened up, what needs to be taken off, stuff like that on the other side after I complete this side, which shouldn't be too much longer. It did take me a little while because, as you can see, I have a bunch of different tools here, different sockets and different tools fit in different areas, so that just kind of extended out the process a little bit longer. And then I'll also show you guys how I measured the rear strut, set the preload, and all that kind of stuff. So for some reason, there's not a lot of videos on this process for this car, so I was really confused. I did see some videos on the front end, but nothing for the rears, so I was a little bit confused as to how to do it. So it was just trial and error for me. I messed up a few things, took a little bit longer where I shouldn't have, but now I think I got a good understanding. So I'm gonna go ahead, tighten all this down, jump onto the other side, and I'll show you guys how to do it yourselves as well. As you just saw, I got the driver's side of the car jacked up. This is where you're gonna have to loosen up to get the spring and the actual strut out. So obviously the two screws right here on the strut, you're gonna have to loosen up the sway bar, tie rod, ball joint right here, as well as this one, and then this one as well. So it's gonna be these two again, this one, and then way down here as well. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then once you get all those loosened up, you're gonna have to reach all the way back here and get this bolt loosened up. And you're gonna bring that entire bolt out. The sad part is you're gonna end up hitting the exhaust hanger. So what I did was I pulled it out just enough where I had one side of the lower control arm sitting at a slant, and it just gave me enough leverage to pull the spring out without backing that bolt out all the way. I really didn't want to get under the car and drop the entire exhaust just for one bolt, so I just backed it out until it started hitting the exhaust, and then I just pushed down on this side of the lower control arm as much as possible and got that spring out. So it is a little bit tedious and it is a little bit frustrating, but that's something you just got to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and start loosening all this up. Okay, so I got the lower control arm bolt, which goes right down here out. That's what holds this strut into place. I got these up from up here. I got these all loosened up, and then obviously I have the 3 bolts that I mentioned earlier, which go here, here, and here. As you can see, they're all sitting up now. And this is just holding its own weight. So luckily, I'm just making sure that there's nothing like the brake lines or nothing everything is still being held up by this lower control arm, which is that bolt way in the back I still need to get out. But it looks like I can get this strut out from here with a little bit of pressure if I push down on it. Let me see if I can. Okay. Got it. So I got the spring already into the car, and now we just need to throw the actual strut in. And luckily they give you this extender. You actually have to buy this separately, but luckily the person I bought this from, it came. But there's a little tiny set screw in here, and that's what's gonna tighten this up so that we don't need to get underneath the car anytime we need to adjust the dampening. And we can just reach through this from the trunk. So that's one good thing about it. And now, if I turn this, the dampening will turn, and we can just throw this in the car like this now. But this is already set to height. and I think I mentioned it was 24.5 inches. So matching the other side, hopefully we get good ride height. And yeah, let's throw it in the car and get this all back together. So now we got the strut in, we got the spring sitting back there, and all that's left to do is really just tighten everything back up. What I'm gonna go ahead and use to do that is the jack. I'm just gonna place it under here or underneath the lower control arm, jack it up as much as I need to. That way I can get all of this back in place, tighten it down, and then from there, I'm just gonna step into the actual trunk area. And if I pull this back, you should be able to see down there is where you're gonna tighten it from the top. And you can also see the BC Racing dampening adjustment right here as well, but I'll give you guys a better look at that once I get to that part. So yeah, I'm just gonna put the camera down, start tightening everything back up, and we should be good to go in the next 10-15 minutes. And just like that, we're done. So I got the actual strut tightened up. All of these, whatever they're called, I have no idea. So if you know, you're a better person than I am, but I have no idea what these are called. But I got this one right here tightened up, which is connected to the sway bar, this control arm, and then this control arm tightened up as well. I did have to loosen up that back bolt just a tiny bit to get that spring in there, but it wasn't too much, so I tightened that back up, and the spring is sitting in place. So hopefully when we lower the car should be pretty level on both sides. And then going to the trunk for the actual strut tower, I got both those bolts tightened up as much as possible. The little dampening adjustment knob sitting here as well. So I think I'll probably just leave it like that. That's how it is on both sides. So obviously not too much. Like I said, I didn't want to put the car too low, but I think this is a good height. So we got about an inch. After we get all this folded up, we'll have about 3 inches. So then we can go a little bit lower. It just depends on this part right here. Unfortunately, the camera died yesterday, so I didn't get to really close out the video, but I let the car sit overnight and it did lower just a tiny bit in the rears. I'm not sure if you can tell that much on camera, but the fronts are definitely higher than they were before. I didn't adjust them enough, so we will get that lowered once we get the wide body kit back on, but the rears do look good. One thing I am noticing is if you come back here, you can see that I have my cut that's going right here and it's stopping at the door. We might actually need to cut parts of the door, so I would probably think like here around to here, and then also this piece as well. So keep cutting all the way through here down to here as well. Luckily for me, there's just flat metal right here, so I can just cut back and just reinsert this same gasketing right back on top of it. But even if I can't use that, I have my own, and we can just waterproof it as well. But I'm not gonna do that till I get the actual kit on, it's painted and everything, once I have the new wheels on, stuff like that, just so I know if I have to cut it or not, or I can just leave it as is. For next week's video, stay tuned. We're gonna be going ahead and making a wheel well, a custom wheel well for the car, so that water can't get into any of these gaps in the front or into the engine bay. So we'll focus on that. I did order some ABS plastic material that we can go ahead and create that. That way we can have it sitting on the inside of our kit, just so it just looks as factory as possible. If you come and look underneath the kit, you won't just see metal or cut up plastics or anything like that. You'll see just black like a normal wheel well would look. The build is coming to a close pretty soon. I can see the finish line and I'm so happy. I'm honestly very tired of working on the car, but my plan is to get this off to paint by February 15th. So by the end of February, hopefully this car is done. I might try to stop by the shop earlier to get an estimate, stuff like that, but I'll keep you all updated. Definitely go down, subscribe, let me know what you think of the car, and stay tuned till the next week's video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.